Hi, this is Alex Kudryavtsev from Cornell University. Many organizations and programs conduct evaluation projects because they want to know how well they are doing or what they can improve. Today, we'll talk about evaluation of environmental education, including why and how educators may want to evaluate the impacts or outcomes of their programs. I'd like to welcome Jennifer Carman from the School of Natural Resources and Environment at the Michigan University. She has a background in behavior, education, communication, and evaluation, and now she conducts PhD research related to education and behavior change in the context of adaptation to environmental change. Hi, Jennifer.
Hi, Alex.
Thank you for joining this podcast. You and your academic advisor, Michaela Zint, and your colleagues at the University of Michigan are doing some important research in environmental education, including on evaluation of environmental education programs. Can you please tell us, what do you mean by environmental education evaluation?
Well, environmental education evaluation is very much in the tradition of many kinds of evaluation of programs, of education programs that are trying to accomplish something in some sort of creating social good. And so evaluation, like you said, is really making sure that those goals were achieved. And so environmental education evaluation really follows these principles of evaluation, of measuring whether or not a program did what it set out to do, and it tailors them specifically to environmental education goals. Like, it looks to what environmental education programs generally, or what a specific environmental education program is trying to achieve, and such as increases in environmental concern or awareness of environmental issues, knowledge, changes in skills, or changes in behavioral intention or actual behaviors. And so it creates ways to actually measure whether or not those outcomes actually happened, and whether the program is designed in a way that supports those happening, and how programs could improve to better support those outcomes happening.
So the achievement of specific goals and just making sure that the program runs well, is it related to these ideas of formative evaluation and summative evaluation?
Formative versus summative evaluation, really that has to do with when in the program development process evaluation is done. So one of the misconceptions that people might have about evaluation is that it's something that is only done at the end of the program to really measure and see whether or not it met its goals, that you have like this series of goals that yes, no, we got this. But really, evaluation is something that program designers should think about from the very beginning. And so formative evaluations are evaluations that are done at the beginning of the process to look at what is needed in terms of what the program can provide, what is needed in the community that the program can serve, what are the needs in the community, and what are the program's strengths and abilities to provide for that need. And then there's also process evaluation, where the evaluation team looks at how the program is set up in the early stages, and for example the pilot stages, to see if it is set up in a way to achieve the goals that they set out. And so summative evaluations are undertaken after the program has been around for a while to measure the actual outcomes that are possible. And a lot of the time there's only this looking at whether or not these goals were met. Did we hit this particular number? But there's a lot more to it than just hitting a particular number. There's, how is the program designed? Are the goals that are created appropriate? Is the way that the program is set up actually set up to meet those goals? And those questions should be asked from the beginning, but aren't always.
Well, Jennifer, it sounds like we need the whole team of program designers and researchers or evaluation team to conduct evaluation. Is there any hope that actually the environmental educators themselves can design evaluation and conduct evaluation? And can they do it? Should they do it? What help can they get? Or maybe there are some resources that you can recommend.
I think that it's very important, and that teachers and educators, program designers understand evaluation, as does Michaela, and Michaela led the development of a website called MIRA. It stands for My Environmental Education Evaluation Assistant. MIRA It's currently at mira.snre.umich.edu, and it's spelled MEERA.
So what resources on Mira would you recommend first to look at?
Well, what's great about Mira is that it really is tailored based on what your own experience as an evaluator is. It has resources from the very earliest beginner people who have just heard the term evaluation for the first time. Maybe their boss said, hey, maybe we should evaluate this program. And then you say, I don't know what that means. That there's opportunities there, but there's also resources available for people who are much more advanced, and the website labels those resources as beginner, intermediate, and advanced based on your needs. And so if you go to the very beginning, if you go to the homepage of the website, one of the first things that you'll see is just like the big questions. What is evaluation? How do I do an evaluation? And so you can, if you aren't sure of the answers to those questions, you can just click on those. But it also provides a really, really handy step-by-step guide of how to incorporate an evaluation into your program and into your program design, and what are the steps that you should go through, and not just describing those steps, but providing resources for actually carrying out each of those steps in terms of planning out what your program goals are, in terms of figuring out what your methods are, in terms of actually developing instruments and collecting data, in terms of analyzing the data. It has each of these steps of the research, and of course collecting data is actually step 5. Steps 1 through 4 are figuring out what it is that thinking process that I was talking about, and you should really think through what it is that you're trying to collect and why.
And do you have ideas like who needs evaluation besides educators themselves? I don't know, maybe from your experience or literature you read, like sponsors or school principals. Who cares?
Well, everybody who cares about the success of a program, I think, cares about evaluation results. So funders care a lot about evaluation results, but educators, of course, care because they want to do well. The educators want to do well and provide something good, but it is more important that it does provide an important accountability for funders of making sure that what they're funding is achieving what they thought that they were going to reach. But moreover, even for people who aren't necessarily working on a current program, that aren't even being currently evaluated, evaluations can provide a resource by making those practices and making successful practices more widely available. If you are developing a program related to teaching about climate change to third graders, you can look to past evaluations, if they exist, of existing programs to see what kind of practices have been successful. And it also provides researchers and evaluators and educators, people at a higher level, this opportunity to really determine what best practices are and have an opportunity to say that, we've done evaluations on this. We have empirical research that shows that these practices are effective, and we can provide that to other people and make that more widely available.
And one question that often comes to my mind, whether evaluation of environmental education programs can help us maybe uncover some outcomes, some precious impacts of programs that we have not designed this program for. Let's say a program has a goal to improve climate-related knowledge, and either some kind of evaluation approaches that can help us discover some new outcomes, something that is not expected.
I would say that really comes down to your evaluation methods, like that more exploratory kind of evaluation that looks at things that might not have been anticipated. I would say that's more of a qualitative way of doing it, but it's something that you really have to decide at the beginning of the evaluation, because part of doing an evaluation is really deciding, and that's one of the things that evaluations honestly can miss, is unanticipated impacts. You really, as an evaluator, you have to be conscious of that and look out for them and account for them in your methods, because the thing that really drives an evaluation is called a logic model. It's something that is developed ahead of time for the evaluation, where the evaluators, ideally in cooperation with the people that they're working with, figure out what are the inputs to at the most basic level, what are the inputs to the program, what are the outputs to the program, and what are the outcomes. And so they really figure out what it is that they're looking for ahead of time. So in terms of what the program is actually doing, in terms of its activities that they should be looking for the success of those activities, of their implementation. So when we look at inputs, we're looking at the resources that go into the program, and does the program have the resources that it needs. When we look at outputs, we're looking at the activities of the program and whether they did what they said that they were, what they planned to do, and then the outcomes are the results. And did these resources and did these activities end up creating the results that the program was hoping to achieve? And so there's often more that goes into a logic model than that, but at the most basic level, that's what we're looking at. And that what you're talking about in terms of additional sort of outcomes, I think that is sort of a decision that is made that has to be made at the outset of like, well, we have, these 5 goals, these 5 outcomes that we're hoping to reach, but do we have additional goals? That's really something that happens on the research question level. It's something that evaluation can capture, but you have to design your evaluation methods very carefully if you want to capture them, because the process of evaluation doesn't necessarily guarantee that will happen. And that's sort of one of the tensions that people can run into with evaluation is, we were hoping that this program was doing this thing, or we were hoping that you would catch this other thing that the program was doing, and then as the evaluator can say, well, we didn't put that in your logic model, we didn't say ahead of time that we were looking for that, and if it's just an additional outcome and it's not that important, then why are we looking for it? But if it is something that's very important that you hope the program is doing, we should put it in the logic model. But these sort of additional benefits, I guess you could call that an additional outcome, but it's something you really have to design for and plan for ahead of time, whether or not that's something you're really looking for.
Well, thank you so much, Jennifer, for all this useful information. I hope that many more environmental educators will take evaluation more seriously and think about different evaluation methods. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Bye, Jennifer.
Bye, Alex.